Why the hell are we always so targeted? We, as black women, are consistently here to protect everybody, but there's not a damn person out here protecting us. And the first person that will attack us is our men. I don't care what you say.
Just gotta say it. Hate me, shoot me, kill me, I don't give a but I'm an interracial dater, right? And I don't know if it's just me, but anytime I see a black man and a white woman, I'm just like, I don't know. But anytime I see a white man and a black woman, I'm like, big ups.
Where do you rank black women in terms of attractiveness?
All the way at the bottom. Now, are all black girls ugly? Of course not. There's some hot ones, but it's a minority. And, you know, let's be honest here. The average black woman's 187 pounds. Loud, obnoxious, rude, fake hair.
Do you feel like, why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women?
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
I'm not gonna lie, that stigma is associated with black athletes and entertainers. They seem to go after the white women or the lighter skinned women.
White women, they cater like better, like they're more submissive than black women. Black women, they talk back.
Have to say
That's
that.
one thing. Like black women, we talk back.
back.
We talk back. Like we don't listen. We're not as submissive as a white woman. Like
so, why your tone can't be in a conversation tone?
it shouldn't be like a situation where you're like, you think she's talking to you crazy. She's telling you how she feels, and you should take that in consideration before anything explodes.
What you even saying that you got other women like a white woman? She could have that same conversation with a regular
They be like,
tone.
honey.
Exactly.
They talk to you so like loving. No.
Hey everyone, this is Rock from StationSky.com, and the question of the day is, are black women being bashed or attacked, or are they simply rejecting constructive criticism? Heads up, this is a long one. You might want to pause it or bookmark it because I'm going to go in deep. First off, we all know that there are indeed people out there who do bash black women, right? We all know this, right? So to answer the question, yes, Rock, there are people. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is the notion that no one is allowed to criticize the stereotypes associated with black women. And I say stereotypes because that's what we're talking about, right? Black women or black men, it's just a race. That's just your ethnicity. That's just what you're born into. But the stereotype of how you act or how you behave, that's what we're going to talk about here. All right, so let me stop you right there, Rock, because how can you say that no one is allowed to criticize black women when that's all y'all do? Who's y'all? Like, who in your world that you live around talks about black women and they openly criticize it? Is it your brother? Your black friends? When they do speak up, do you take it as constructive criticism, as information you can use to get you what you say you want? Or do you just take it, oh, they're bashing me, right? Or they're out to control or oppress or manipulate you? And this is odd, right? Because what I've noticed is that people only call it manipulation or bashing when it's something that requires change or improvement on your part. But it's empowering. The same advice would be empowering if it's something encouraging to indulge what you already want to do, right? So if you want to sleep around, if you want to travel the world and focus on careers and goals and you know, all this other stuff instead of family or God or faith, that's empowering. But when people say, no, focus on family, focus on, you know, getting married and relationships and focus on God, you're manipulating me. All right, so black men are a problem too. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get that out of the way because there's gonna be a lot of, aren't you gonna black men? I'm just gonna talk about black men, okay? The stereotypes surrounding black men are a problem too. There's a growing hashtag or trend on social media called black fatigue. Plainly put, white people are tired of the unruly, dysfunctional black people acting a fool in public, attacking others, stealing, coming out of the house dressed like they just woke up, right? They're loud and causing a scene. These are stereotypes. Not all black people fit into it. I'm not gonna keep repeating that disclaimer. If you don't have the maturity to understand that I'm not talking about all, that's on you. You might want to click off this video, but I'm not going to keep saying that. From the mobs of black people fighting in carnival crews, raiding stores, casually stealing, to aggressively manning the Frontier Airlines desk.
I paid for a ticket.
And you I paid for a ticket. For agent fee, and you checked in 3 hours later. Hello.
I just said that I
get on your flight.
Yeah, I just said that I would pay the $25.
And you thought you were going to get on your flight.
And people are just tired of saying nothing because they're afraid of being called a racist, or we're discriminating, or we're self-hating blacks, whatever, right? That's why you have this woman in in Minnesota who was able to raise over $700,000 on GoFundMe after she allegedly called a boy the N-word. It's tribalism, all right? Blacks tend to stand by and support criminals regardless of their actions. So white people, they're starting to do the same. And I've warned this years ago. Like, we as black people, we're still a minority, right? Jim Crow wasn't that long ago. So y'all keep, like the guy who ran over the police officer because his kid was shot by a cop earlier, the day before. I'm like, that's horrible. We need to stop that, right? You cannot play around. Once upon a time, blacks were attacked and hunted and killed and lynched on the same basis, right? Some black committed a crime, and then you have a group of white people say, all right, enough is enough. Let's just find some random black person who's walking on the street, tie him up, right? And of course, even black people are tired of these ghetto blacks. We used to try and separate, ourselves from, like Chris Rock, he did a bit, right? The problem is, as Jason Whitlock pointed out, too many black people spend a lot of time and energy defending the ninjas. And by defend, we know what we're talking about, right? Every time you bring out what a black person's doing, they spend like 85% of the conversation on, oh, well, you just got to understand. And they're trying to justify or explain or get you to say, okay, well, here's the reason why they're doing what they're doing. Instead of spending more time encouraging to stop the behavior. It's like, okay, we get that you grew up in a bad situation, that there racism in the past, slavery happened, we get it. All of that happened. Now, what are you going to do from here on out? What are you going to do from this moment forward? Are you going to keep leaning on everything that happened? Or are you going to make changes? And no matter how much you try to encourage people to let go, move forward, they simply refuse to. And I have a whole list of reasons, right? Victimhood, it gets you free things. They're afraid of the herd. They'll be ostracized. Oh, you're Uncle Tom, you're a sellout, right? Echo chamber, meaning everyone in your world, your community, your friends, they all talk and act and think like you. So you don't know any other worldviews. And when you do hear a different worldview, they're clearly wrong because everyone else, we can't all be wrong. They have no one to blame but themselves. Accountability, they don't like that, right? So if they'll have no one to blame but themselves, that's a problem. It'll mean that their loved ones lied to them. A lot of us grew up with aunties and whatever and mentors who taught you that white people are all racist. And if you find out that they're wrong, you've been lied to. A lot of people have a hard time reconciling that. They'll need someone else to direct their hate and rage to. A lot of people are just born innate rage and anger and envy. They see a lot of people doing a lot better than them. And instead of saying, okay, use that anger and motivation to work hard so you can get better, they just attack others. All right, if you treat white people as if they're all racist or they're out to impress you, it makes sense why they want to get the hell away from you, as Scott Adams suggested. I remember he said that years ago and they try to cancel him. And I'm like, no, I get what he's saying.
I pulled over to eat some food before my class and I just got upset because I pulled over into a white neighborhood. It's just so nice and it just reminds me that everything is about racism. They have so much shade, so much parking. Like, it's the simple shit.
It'll stay that way until you fucking monkeys come and fucking ruin it. See the problem is people think I hate being black. I don't fucking hate being black. I hate being around niggas like y'all. He said, John, you don't have to say that word. No, there's a fucking behavior that's been accepted these days that I don't agree with. And we shouldn't have to put up with it.
Carmelo Anthony. This happened right around the time I was getting married. I couldn't stand it. After 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf and was given close to $500,000 in GoFundMe, what do you think? What message does that send to not just other black people, but the world, America? This guy killed someone, stabbed him in the heart. Dude said, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Touch me. Whatever he said. That doesn't give you the right to just leap to the escalation of murder. But and then they try to give him $500,000 through GoFundMe. What do you think that's gonna do? After that happened, I think the whole country collectively just said, all right, enough and enough. You ninjas are a problem. When I see clips of black people acting out, followed by comments, because everyone's starting to be honest, especially in Instagram, the comment section, racism, you can call it whatever you want, but I'm like, first off, some of it is funny, the usual suspects, always the watermelon people. I'm tired of the 13% black activities. I'm not offended when I see that. This clip right here is taken from a brawl during a bond hearing between black people. And there were comments talking about this looks like just in a zoo. And you can't get mad because it does. I've seen gorillas fighting in a zoo and it looks like that. When people talk about the angry black man stereotype or how they're worried about black people coming into the neighborhoods and bringing down property values, again, you really can't blame them. I live in a good gated community. It's predominantly upper middle class white people, right? If I saw my neighbors come in, bouncing, they're pulsing the bass heavy rap music, and then people get out of the car with the pants down, they're sagging. Come on. You're basically asking people to just turn off the common sense in their head.
I don't want to live around black people. I just don't. And that's not to say that every black person is violent. It's not to say that every black person is the same way. But we watch the news, we read the papers. When you drive downtown in Chicago, you know who you gotta look out for and worry about when you're thinking about whether you're gonna get carjacked, when you're worried about catching a stray bullet, when you're worried about who's gonna pull up on the side of the road and literally shove a rifle in your face and steal your iPhone, or shoot you point blank, execution style, in Lincoln Park. We know who's doing it. I don't wanna live near them. I don't wanna be near them. They make me nervous. That's a survival instinct.
Instead of getting mad at non-blacks, white people, for their very understandable response to this nonsense, I'm more upset at all the black people who are giving us a bad look. Thus, I don't take the racist comments as a personal attack because I know they aren't talking about black men like me. Ladies, I know when y'all talk about, oh, well, all black men are broke, and all these black men, you know, they're trifling and they got no jobs and they have a whole bunch of baby mamas. When you guys complain about that, me, I don't get upset. I'm not offended. I know you aren't talking about men like me. Those black ninjas do need to get a job. I'm on board with you, right? So keep that in mind as I bring up the female black stereotypes. I'm not talking about every black woman. The ones who do need the change need to hear this message. When you see that 12-foot high, tall, high-calorie bronze statue someone put up in Times Square,
what you talk about, you got me up, got me all the way up. I ain't gonna do shit. I ain't gonna pay. I gonna call the cops on you. You ain't gonna tell me nothing. You ain't gonna tell me what to do. I ain't gonna do you how.
There are a lot of comments of stereotypes being ascribed to it. Just name a few. Even the statue has an attitude. Why does it look like she's looking for her kids? The statue is called, where's the child support the light bills due, right? Obviously, these are all insulting and offensive, and they should be to the stereotype. But as you can see in this video, there are just as many black women who are appalled by the statue.
Fat, black, and ugly in Times Square is wild. Like, they really think we're a joke. Like, that big behind, 12-foot, overweight black woman in the middle of Times Square, that is what they chose to represent us?
There's just one more thing out of the hundreds of videos out there keeping the masculine, unattractive stereotypes about black women alive.
What the do I have to do in this council in order to get respect as a black woman?
When you see videos like this one where you have a bunch of black women who just got their diplomas and they're turning up at the graduation and they're just dancing like this, right? Who else can you blame for feeding into the stereotype if not black people themselves? Again, you will have people justifying, oh, they're just celebrating. They're just happy. They worked hard for that diploma. So what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. They're not twerking. They're just celebrating. They're doing the dance. Sure. The problem is people are allowed to have their opinion. So if you think, oh, that's fine, cool, kudos to you and yours. However, to other people, I'm not gonna say everyone else, but to other people, that looks low class, trashy, and ghetto. Well, you shouldn't think like that. It's our culture and we're free to celebrate however we want. Sure. Other people, just like you're free to celebrate however you want and free to think what you want, other people are free to think what they want, right? The choice is yours. Be mindful of how you perceive or embrace the stereotypes and own it, right? So you can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, well, that stereotype's negative, but then you do the stereotype. All right, so we got to talk about the epidemic of baby mama culture because this is part of the problem. For the purpose of the essay, I'm going to focus on the criticism that a lot of black men have when it comes to not wanting to date the stereotypical black woman. I'm never going to stop talking about it because I've been talking about this for years, but I'm never going to stop talking about it because I truly believe that fatherless households is the reason why you have all these negative stereotypes to begin with. Fatherless households are the reason why you have criminal behavior, the lack of respect, no fear of authority, lack of discipline or work ethic, no dignity about how you're supposed to act in public, and it's the reason why you see a lot of people growing up harboring anger and envy towards other races because it's not fair that these white people, they're all together, you have the mom and dad. Meanwhile, I don't know where my dad's at. The mainstream doesn't like to talk about this because I think they're afraid of black women.
Hello, Democrats. Hey, I am speaking, and I would love your attention. There is a black woman at this podium, and I deserve your attention.
Good evening, Democrats. Look up here. 3 strong black women standing before you.
Look at this room, y'all. Truly take it in. This is the Democratic Party.
We are in a time in this country
when our democracy and our rights are under attack.
And it's almost like a parent who doesn't want to tell their child not to eat too much candy because you're afraid that they'll hate you. I think that's how the mainstream and Democrat treat black women, right? They don't want to tell them the truth about, oh, look at this behavior. You know, like Pink Book Lessons, if you haven't, I have the link down below, but Pink Book Lesson does a great job of just telling you what's happening in the world that the mainstream doesn't want to talk about. Like women falling off of, twerking off a vehicle, getting hit by a fire truck. That's horrible. Nowhere in the mainstream, it's not on New York Post, but this is happening and it needs to be brought up because how else are you going to change if you don't know that this stuff is going on? So when these conversations come up, feminists and even black men like Boyce Watkins and Dr. Umar, they put the onus on men, right? When they hear about the baby mama culture and the baby mama epidemic, they say,
we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
See, he knows that black women are ending up with failed results because of their poor choices, but Dr. Umar is saying because she's not good at making decisions, black men must be held accountable.
I think that as men, we have to sort of start with us first, right? Because here's what I believe about women. I believe if you show up and you are a true leader as a masculine man, women will follow that.
Lies.
I don't think you have to ask for respect.
Lies.
I don't think you have to command respect.
Family court law will tell you differently, boys.
First, we have to start with men, right? I truly believe that if you show up and you're a true leader and you're masculine men, women will follow that. Sure, a good, honorable Christian woman will follow that. Is that what most or all black women are?
I'm less and less interested in religious men, if I'm being honest with you.
Are you religious?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
It's become a red flag for me.
Wow.
I'm not saying that if you believe in God that you are a red flag. I also don't give so just tell somebody else about it. I think for some men, they think that that's what women are looking for. Like looking for a good Christian man.
Yeah.
And some people are, but just not me.
Because what happens when you show these Democrat-leaning, leftist black women the scriptures about what it says about how wives are to submit to their husbands? All right? Do you think they'll simply follow him because he's a masculine leader? Or will they reject the scriptures as they have been for years? Unless the laws allow and encourage men to control women or force them to do what we want them to do, men cannot be blamed for the autonomous actions or decisions of women. It's not about whether a man or a woman is supposed to change first when it comes to community. Every one of us first should start with ourselves as individuals. And therein lies the rub, because a lot of us, as strong and independent as you claim to be, you're dependent on the herd, your sisterhood, and what your friends are going to think about you. That's not good. You got... Not to mention the perpetuating cycle of women who don't feel they need a husband because they didn't grow up with fathers in the home, right? I have this clip right here.
The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married?
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility.
I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Then you have celebrities and unintended role models like Naomi Osaka, Keke Palmer, Haley Bailey. I hate that name, Haley. It's too close to Halle Berry. All successful, young, beautiful black women, and all of them ended up as baby mamas. You're trying to tell me that there was no responsible marriage-minded men in their vicinity, right? There's no one who would have said, oh, I want to marry you, and then we can have a child. No, they just had the child outside. And when it comes to Naomi Osaka, I remember having that conversation with my dad. My dad said, oh, I don't see a problem with it, as long as the man's there, because Naomi Osaka was with her man when they had the child. Kudos, right? But now they're separated, right? She's no longer with them. So now that child is growing up in a fatherless household. Marry before you carry. I can scream it until I'm blue in the face. But women get to pick and choose that, right? Women are the ones who say, I want to carry this baby or I want to abort this baby. Even Riri herself is a baby mama. The father of her children is A$AP Rocky, and they're not married. And I heard, even my wife's like, oh, well, it's because she makes more money. It doesn't matter. I don't give a flip what the reason is. You need to be married to the person that you're having children with. That's black people's problem. You can't blame that on racism. That is black people's problem. Seriously, thank God for the video evidence, because without it, even I have a hard time believing it, right? Because there are a lot of women who are also single by choice. Ebony K. Williams immediately comes to mind. Then there's this woman from Steve Harvey who flat out asked in front of a live studio audience with no shame.
Now, I've thought a lot about this, and I'm ready to have a child, but I don't necessarily want to be married. And I know that I'm financially capable of taking care of a child on my own. So my question is, Would it be selfish of me to enter into an agreement with the guy just for his sperm and I maintain legal rights to the child?
And the reason why we need the video evidence is because without it, you have stupid people like this woman who says,
no single mother pitched a tent in front of Target at 3 a.m. so she can stand in line on Black Friday to make sure she bought single motherhood at discount prices. This is not something we wanted to do.
no one wants to be a single mother, right? This isn't something we wanted to do. That sounds right to the uninitiated, to those who don't know any better. That sounds like that's enough to shut them up. Like, yeah, you're right. No one wants this, because why would they? Until you actually see women confess that they do want it. Here's the truth that people don't like to admit. The kind of black man who would be a great father and a devoted husband, those kind of men aren't going to put up with just any kind of behavior, right? They know they don't have to. Let me break that down for a moment, because this is important, right? They know they don't have to put up with the bad behavior. That black man has standards.
The real fact of the matter is, a lot of sisters do not want good men. They prefer these type of brothers that don't have goals, that don't have a good job, that don't have drive, that don't have ambition, that aren't good protectors, that lack in these areas where a man should be plentiful in. They go for these type of men instead of a good man, because when they have this type of brother, they can tell him everything he's doing wrong. They can belittle him, they can disrespect him, and they like that. That's why when they were talking about it, they were laughing, they were giggling, they were giving each other high five, like, yes, I talk to my man like that too. I have to tell my man that too. Ha ha ha. They think it's funny because they like the idea that they feel superior over their man. They like feeling like they are in control of him. They like that position of authority, of power. They like being able to say, get the f up off my couch. I'm about to kick you out my house. But if the role was reversed and they did have a good man, now they can't talk to him like that. They can't be disrespectful to him. Now they actually have to watch their mouth. Now they have to level up. Now they might actually have to be submissive. Hold up.
All right, so why are a lot of black men afraid to tell women the truth? When a man speaks up onto why he dates outside his race, instead of accepting his opinions, because the whole point of this whole video is about this woman I'm about to bring up, who, like, and she seemed like a decent black woman, but she asked,
why the hell are we always so targeted?
That's the point of this essay. That's the point of this video. Why are black men bashing black women? So this is where we're gonna really hone into it, right? Everything else is just background information. Now we're gonna really dig in. When a black man speaks up on why he dates outside his race, instead of accepting his opinions and realizing that he's just revealing his preferences of what it takes to be with a man like him, a lot of black women see it as an attack. Even men like Boyce Watkins repeated this common counterpoint where he says,
where I think that we can do a little bit better as men is, you can go marry your white woman, but you ain't got to bash black women on your way out the door. You know, that's the problem. I think that's the thing that I don't like. It's like when you would say, I married a white woman because black women do this and black women do that. No, the black women you chose did that.
That's wrong. What Boyce Watkins just said is wrong. We did not choose them, and that's the point. We didn't choose them for marriage. We're choosing other women, and that's what the problem is. All right. The main reason why everyone keeps bringing this up, you know, because people always say, oh, why do we keep talking about this conversation, even on the spiritual world? Why do we keep bringing up this conversation? Because black women are asking about it. If you go to TikTok, you go to Chisha Zev video, every video is a black woman asking the same question, which makes you wonder, do they want the answers? Because if we're allowed to answer, sometimes the answers come off as if we're bashing, when really we're just explaining. We're just telling you, well, this is what I like. You're bashing. Well, this is what I prefer in a wife. You're bashing. And trust me, it's not about delivery, right? Because very often people say, oh, well, that's because you guys are mean and you're using insultive language and you're very... No, you could use the most softest, most sugar-coated language possible, but after 2 lines of a woman hearing why you don't want to date black women, that woman tends to get offensive. And if you're nice, if you're soft-spoken, if you're not strong in your delivery, it makes it easier for the black woman, or any woman. Women do this in general. They tend to cut you off. They tend to interrupt you. Let me stop you right there. And it's like you couldn't even finish your thought because you were leading somewhere, but no, they're going to cut you off, interrupt you, and they go to sign language. What Kevin Samuel says is shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right. All right, and this is the counter defense that they always hit you with when it comes to you dating white women. Is this another black woman bad essay? Oh, you wish you was white. You must hate your mama. You're a self-hating black. Oh, you like to date white women. You have internalized racism. That's a good one, because internalized racism is them saying, oh, you're racist and you don't know it. So no matter what you say, it's just in you. There's nothing you can do about it because it's internal, and that's just a dumb, stupid shaming tactic that works on So men are typically hit with sign language, and then that usually escalates into loud, abrasive, expletive-filled tirade, which most men are not equipped to deal with, right? Most men, let me repeat that for those in the back. Most men were not equipped to deal with the loud, aggressive, attitude-laced behavior, so we don't. A lot of men are afraid. That's why we love Kevin Samuels, because he seemed to have these conversations in which he could match that energy and stick with the conversation to reach them.
Let's be realistic, Samuel. It's about value.
Yeah, and your value is low.
Oh, wow. And how do you know that? You're not
Because
sure
you're 5'4" and 2.
Okay.
And 37 years old with 2 kids. That's how I know. In Kentucky.
Okay. That's your opinion.
It's not my opinion.
You never seen my body before, so you just
I don't have to see your body. I know you're 5'4" and almost with 2 kids in Kentucky. And I see your picture.
Oh, you're not strong enough for a black woman? Maybe I'm not. And if I'm not, what are you going to do about it? You're going to shame me? Or men just going to leave and go somewhere else? Right? And that's the problem there. All right, let me break off for a second just to hit you with something. Because a lot of people say, oh, you're not strong enough for a black woman. Oh, you're not strong enough for a black woman. Or you're not man enough. Let's say we are. What are you going to do about it? The only one you can control is yourself. That'd be like with me saying, the problem is everyone's just afraid of me because I'm 6'3", 240 pounds. Okay, let's say that's true. What are you going to do about it? Because as an adult, I'm 38 years old, I've learned that if other people tend to be afraid of you for very logical reasons or dormant reasons that you don't know about that happened in your childhood, I can work on being more friendly. I can smile more. I can say, oh, that's great. Compliment people. And when you do that, you get ahead in the professional role, people like you, the world opens up to you. You're when it comes to networking and resources, the world opens up to you. But the choice is yours. You can hold on to your pride and say, oh, everyone else must change for me, or you can change to be more accommodating for everyone else. That explains why you have black women like this one I'm about to get into, who they're shocked and they're frustrated and they're confused as to why a black man will want to marry a white woman as this who this black man describes as her piece. Let's get into it.
I am utterly disturbed by, and I am just tired because I don't understand why there's this major attack on black women. I was in the barbershop today.
Okay.
And it was a young black male coming there. He might have been between that 22 to 24 age group. Very handsome, very, very handsome. So I believe he's might have just been coming back from college or graduating or whatever the case may be, because they were happy to see him when he came in. He's got an engineering degree. Oh my God. I'm over there on the proudness. I'm in the background. I don't know him. I'm just kind of sitting down, listening to what he's saying.
Right.
The young man says, yeah, I'm having a little problem. It's a lot going on because, I'm marrying a white woman. My family, they're not too happy about it.
All right. So let's stop right there. All right. And call it out. All right. You heard what you just said. You heard what she just said. It's not that this young man was so eager to get into this barbershop and bash black women. The only reason why he's talking about what he's about to say is because his black family has a problem with the fact that she's white. That's the reason why. So, when boys walk in, oh, well, the problem is, if you're going to date white women, why you got to bash black women on your way out? They're asking about it. Or the racism that he's experienced from other black people when it comes to him dating a white woman. Let's continue.
Where'd you meet her? And he said, oh, I met her in college. And he was like, oh, okay, because, back in the day, you had all the girls. What made you decide that she was the one? Like, what made you want to marry the white girl?
Right.
Or the white woman? No, with no disrespect. So what this young man said after that is what just literally took me out the game.
Mm-hmm.
As a black woman, as a black mom, in general. So he says that, he come from, of course, the hood and had a hard knock life, just with one mom and no dad. And so he goes off to say that when he went to college, it was a college that was mixed, but more so of a white college. And he start, meeting up with white friends and, they introduced him to another whole world he didn't know existed. She became a friend and then introduced him to their family. And when he goes over there, they're all married. The parents is married and they have a really good home and they do things together and they communicate. It's just a good energy, a good vibe. And this man said, I never knew this side of life. My life was always loud and chaotic and always disruptive. It was always baby mama drama and fussing and fighting, and they'll get together as a family and it'll be a fight, and the drunk uncles, the drunk mamas, he was like, my aunt and uncles, they all on welfare and always scheming and always fussing and fighting, cussing, trying to hook up with this dude and that dude, and it's just all these black women, just all that seemed like that's all I was raised up under, that's all I seen, that's all I know. And I get to the white woman and it's different. And what he said after this is what really broke me. He said, it's like when I came home the last time, he said, and I was in my family's event, it was nothing but chaos. He said the women, they in house shoes and bonnets, they ghetto acting. He said, and I love them, but I don't love it. Being with my white girlfriend, fiance, and her family, he said, you know what it's like? And this is what got me, ladies. He said, it's like if you're in a crowded room and you're surrounded by chaos and just everything is just chaotic and noisy and loud and disruptive, and you take some headphones and you put the headphones on and you can drown everything out, because when you put the headphones on, it's quiet and it's peace. He said, that's what my fiance is to me and her white family. That whiteness, he said, they're my headphones and they are my peace. He said, and then black women and my black side of the family, they are the noise. They are the chaos. Why the hell are we always so targeted? We as black women are consistently here to protect everybody, but there's not a damn person out here protecting us. And the first person that will attack us is our men. I don't care what you say.
And listening to Auntie, she's not ghetto, right? She doesn't sound like the kind of woman who would contribute to the noise that the man is talking about. And yet she takes it as a personal attack. A lot of women do. This is a huge problem that hits to what Shamika Michelle talks about in this panel discussion.
What it is there's still this idea that we don't want white people to know what's going on. So there's this, not necessarily defending it. I know it comes across that way, but don't tell anybody it exists. Let's not pretend like this is real. Shh, let's keep it quiet, because there's this idea that it'll make all of us look bad. I agree with Virgil when he says it's time to get back to shaming them. It's time to shame those, for me, in the grocery store, in their bonnets, in their pajama pants, in their being loud, in their not carrying themselves with dignity and class the way I'm used to my grandparents and great-grandparents carrying themselves. We have to start calling it out. But as you are well aware that when we do that, we're told we're coons, we're Uncle Toms, we have sold out.
So my response to this, as I left in Chisa's video, was that this. Sometimes love looks like hate. Sometimes open rebuke and criticism looks like an attack. The Bible itself says that open rebuke is better than concealed love. Ladies and gentlemen, open rebuke is better than concealed love. I get why Auntie and ladies like her would be upset and disappointed. She's out of touch.
I don't want this one.
I need a drug dealer and then a scammer, then the 9 to 5.
I want the scammer first, then the drug dealer, then the 9 to 5.
1, 2, and 3.
Scammer 3.
Okay.
Drug dealer 2. 9 to 5.
9 to 5, 1.
And they both agree.
Oh, my 9 to 5 fellas, we are winning.
But the biggest issue here is their inability to listen, understand, and take it as constructive criticism, and that's what's stopping them from getting what they say they want. It harkens back to Paul Pierce's comments on the podcast where he was asked, again, he didn't just openly say, let me get on this podcast and talk about black women. No, a woman asked him,
why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy?
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more, and they apologize more.
But Rock, I know plenty of black women, and they have no problem apologizing or showing their appreciation for men. You guys are just generalizing. That's correct. You guys say that as if, oh, you shouldn't generalize. Nope. We generalize. Anyone with the brain, we make assumptions, we generalize, we come to conclusions, and we can adapt that, and we can change the conclusions based on new evidence that's observed. However, that first impression that we have, it's very logical to have it. You're not going to shame us from not generalizing or stereotyping. You, as an individual, have to prove. I know that might not sound fair, This is where we live in, right? We as a society generalize. We didn't create the stereotypes. It sucks that other people perpetuate it, but the only one you can control is yourself. If you know that black women have the stereotype of being unfriendly, loud, uncooperative, and unapproachable, you can combat that by being more friendly, smiling more, being more soft-spoken, and cooperative. It's your call, right? And that's not going to happen overnight. I get it. Some people, you're born and raised, like there's a woman I heard from Cheese Dead video, just sounds so masculine. You can change. You can work on being more kinder. Getting mad at others and telling them to disregard experience or observations has taught them that only works on people who don't like to think for themselves. And it's sad to say, as I believe, most of my culture, my generation, don't like to think for themselves. They like going to TikTok or Instagram, their For You page, and they like being told what they should think. And I think my brother said a long time ago that a lot of people, they don't like to think for themselves and make those kind of decisions because it's responsibility, right? It's a very safe thing to just say, okay, well, I was taught this or I was told this. And what's strange is that I see a lot of talk about how black women are the most educated or career driven. Kudos if that's all true. But on that same token, being with the kind of man you say you want, I keep saying you say because what you say and what you do are two different things. Being with the kind of man you say you want, it comes with requirements. Just like you have a standard of what it takes to be with a woman like you, men also have standards. The problem is, as I see it, a lot of black women feel entitled to a man without fulfilling those requirements. Their reasons don't matter, right? You're not entitled to understanding. You're not entitled to acceptance. I know the culture is telling you that. Oh, tolerance and acceptance. That's not a right. You can't force everyone to listen to you, to understand you, to accept you. You can't. No. You're controlling. You're trying to say, do as I want you to do. And the only one you can control is yourself. I keep hammering that because the culture is nonsense. It's just pushing garbage. You're not entitled to have every black man withhold themselves from other races just because you say so. The sooner you understand that you have to work for everything you want in the world, including love, romance, relationships, and marriage, the better off you'll be. Instead of buying into the notion that you can behave however you want and a black man must simply accept you because they're black too. What women need to understand, and I really hope women really take from this whole video, is that black men, we're not rejecting black women, we're rejecting culture. All right, earlier boys walking is applying that, oh, it first has to start with black men, if we have to be the strong masculine leaders and then women will follow. Anton Daniel said, we can't change the culture, it needs to die. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not alone in that sentiment. A lot of us have been thinking that for years. So when we were growing up in the 90s, we had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we had the Winslows, so you could be a very regular black person and be accepted by the community. Now, if you act like Eddie Winslow or the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, oh, you corny, you lame. Michael B. Jordan. Even now, Michael B. Jordan, well, first off, he was called lame and corny back then, but they still call him lame and corny unless he's playing a villain. There are black men who have stayed in communities and they're doing their best to try and clean up and help the communities, but nowhere is it written in the Bible for us Christians that we have to stay in the bucket with the rest of the crabs and die there too, right? Instead, Jesus Christ, and pay attention, this is really important, I have the scriptures up below. Jesus Christ tells us that our family, our community is not based on race or ethnicity, but by our desire to do the will of the Father. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, right? If you're striving to put God first, you are my community, you are my culture. So when it comes to marriage and dating, those are the ones. It doesn't matter if you're Indian, Pakistani, Chinese, Asian, white, Latino. If you're a Christian and you're striving to put God first, you're the ones that I'm going to try to date. Not, oh, you're black, I'm black too, let's get together. That doesn't say that Christians can't go into ghettos to preach and minister. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying that when it comes to marriage, to try to start a family, it'd be extremely foolish for me to marry a non-believer or raise our children in a community in which they're surrounded by other kids who are in single-parent households, right?
Tell me what the white man got to do with this, man.
Naughty.
Naughty? How old are you?
5.
Why is your name Naughty?
Because I smoke this whole hood. This is my hood.
Like, that influence is real. Our children are going to go to middle school and elementary school, be surrounded by all this negative influence, so it makes sense for us to uproot ourselves and go to a community where there's less of that. I'm pointing this out because between men and women, it seems that women are more likely to stick with the black community. Some say it's out of loyalty, to grandstand on some moral high ground about how they're better than black men who have abandoned ship. But the truth is, just like black men are criticized for dating outside of race, black women are criticized by other black women. Let me repeat that for those in the back. Black women are repeatedly peer pressure and shamed if they step outside the herd, the community, the sisterhood. They created terms like pick me to shame women from being that kind, submissive, traditional women that men, Christian men, good men, we actually want. And when they see black men with white women, their disappointment is not just with, oh, you're rejecting black women. No, their disappointment is that you're rejecting the culture, which to me is like saying you're rejecting Satan. You know, why are you rejecting Satan? Because I'm Christian. I believe in doing the right thing. Even if you walk by something and it's unguarded, don't steal it. Even if no one's looking. Oh, you gotta be foolish and stupid not to steal it. That's satanic. I don't need those people. I don't need those influences in my life. Is white culture simply better than black culture? Let's go ahead and talk about it, because a lot of people you're going to be thinking it, right? And the entirety of this video, it sounds like you're saying that white culture is simply better than black culture. Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying. You know, and I can tell you want to click off this video, but here you have an Instagram reel where it's like, this is South Africa, right? White people lived there, it looked better. When white people left, without it. When white people left, it looked like crap. It became dilapidated. And I saw a video earlier, I'm gonna see if I can find it, but I probably won't, of black people from Africa, and they're talking about this. Like, it's not in a culture to maintain something. And I think people need to keep in mind is that it's all about preference, right? Because there are black people who prefer the inner cities where there's graffiti on walls, there's bass heavy music pumping from cars, kids are walking down the street with their pants down, and there's a pungent odor of marijuana in there, right? To each his own. I like gated communities. I like the streets being clean. I like the lawns mowed, bushes curated, the trees where I can jog down a sidewalk without being held up, robbed, or targeted by someone as an easy mark. Oh, Rock, that's not all black communities. You've been watching too much TV or something, all right? Because there are plenty of black people who live in good, clean, gated communities. They can go for a jog without any fear. All right, then clearly I'm not talking about those communities, all right? Because let's stop acting stupid. We got to stop acting stupid. This is the whole mentality, the tribal mentality I'm talking about, where you're so fixated on, oh, I don't want to look bad in front of other races, that you overlook there are bad areas, right? When it comes to the 7th Ward, New Orleans, would you jog down the street, O Block, Chicago, Baltimore, Memphis, Compton, South Central LA, Detroit, Liberty City, Miami, right? Every major city of America, there are good parts of the town, and then there's parts that we warn tourists to stay away from. The parts that we warn tourists to stay away from, who's predominantly living in those parts of town? Blaming white people doesn't work anymore, right? You can blame it to you, because there's too many of us. There's too many black people who are successful. We made it. We started from the bottom and we worked our way up. I do have a little bit of compassion, because when you grow up in a single parent household, you don't have a strong man to say, no, we're not working on for any handouts. This is going to sound really bad, but I suspect the reason why in a single parent household where people are raised mostly by the mothers is because women do get more handouts than men. There are more safety nets for women than men. So it makes sense for a lot of women to pass down this, oh, government owes me, people owe me mentality, whereas men, there aren't that many safety nets. So of course a man's going to raise his children, men and women, to say, nope, don't wait for any handouts. You get your ass out there and you work hard. You start out not the minimum wage, and you keep looking, you keep building, you keep working. That's what men do. That's what men instill in their children, right? And I had fathers. I didn't just have my biological father. I had my stepfather, who was a sergeant. And then when I grew up and got out of college, my mentor is an attorney, and he taught me about finance, right? I don't blame white people for, my lack of father in the households. I blame our culture, right? You can blame it on the Moynihan report and the welfare system, but ultimately it is on you as an individual. Oh, crack epidemic is everywhere. It's peer pressure. You still, as an individual, have the strength or need to cultivate the strength to say no. I think if you just dig into the scriptures, if you're rooted in the scriptures, you're rooted in the Bible, that gives you a better chance. I'm sorry I had to go off on a tangent, but come on. I'll leave it with this, because I do think that black women are constantly being attacked, but other black women. Some attacks are blatant. I have, go to my website, Stage in the Sky. I have links to every video I'm talking about. So it's like the evidence is there, right? We could talk about the black sprinter who was attacked by another black sprinter, Tamia Taylor, who was killed on her birthday in a Tennessee River cruise, or Shanquella Robinson, who was jumped by her black friends on a trip to Mexico and killed, right? Oh, you're not going to bring up all the black men who abuse their wives and girlfriends? Again, that's all your ego, right? The point, stick to the point, right? We know that there are bad black men. We know that there are men who have sex outside of wedlock, they hit and quit it, leaving you pregnant. We know that those exist. I'm trying to instill in you the strength to say no, the strength to say, I'm going to make better choices, right? You focusing on, oh, what about them? What about this? What about that? Isn't helping you. So we're going to stick. This is what a father does too, right? A father will listen to their child and say, hey, why do you got this F on your report card? And then the child will bring up every excuse in the book. The father will dig through all of that and stick to the point, right? You need to do better. I don't give a flip what's happening in your curriculum. I don't care what everyone else is doing. I'm responsible for you, right? Which means stop doing what the other kids are doing. You get your ass in front of the classroom. You pay attention, or I'm going to lay down the belt. Accountability, right? For those women to be wives and girlfriends, it means that they chose relationships with alpha men. Even Cassie Ventura isn't completely innocent in all the freak out she had with P. Diddy. No, Rock, sometimes we didn't have a choice. Another way to say, oh, I didn't have a choice, is to say we didn't know what to do. And that's all right. You can be honest in saying, oh, I didn't know what to do. But again, that's the whole point of this video, right? Because if you didn't know what to do, ask someone. And if you ask someone, are you going to listen, or will you get defensive? Take it as an attack and claim that we're bashing you. That's the point, right? That's what's holding you back. Everyone getting defensive, seeing it as an attack, seeing it as bashing, instead of listening to it as constructive criticism, as instruction to do better. The ones who tried, the ones who, okay, I'm trying to talk to people, but I'm constantly being attacked and shamed, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to keep sticking to the neighborhood. They're not going to stick to the culture. They're just going to leave. And you're going to see them with white women or Latinas or Asians, and they're going to be happy. Meanwhile, you're a single mother, or you're in your 40s and 50s now, overweight and without a man or children. The choice is yours. You can embrace it. You could say, oh, that's culture. I got my girlfriends. I'm happy. I'll be fine. Or you can just listen.